So, did you know that you might not actually own the copyright to AI generated content that your business generates and relies on? This is something that I get a lot of questions about from clients, and it's a really timely issue because as a founder, you're probably using AI to generate a lot of different things for your business, from marketing copy, maybe designs, images, blog posts, etc. You name it, scopes of work or scopes of services for clients, even work product for clients. Your employees or contractors are using AI to generate work product for you to get their job done, whether you are aware of it or not. It's really important to understand who actually owns those outputs so that you can protect yourself properly. And in the US, under the Copyright Act and the current regime of copyright protection in the US, which I will admit is evolving right now because AI is such a new thing. But at the moment, ownership of AI outputs is pretty murky legally. And so currently in the United States, the US Copyright Office requires proof of human authorship in order to say that there are copyright rights in the outputs. And in most cases, they have decided that if you're using AI, there is not human authorship because it's ultimately the algorithm and the data of that AI learning set that is generating the output, not you as a human. So purely machine generated works are not going to be protected or protectable. And the problem with that is if you're generating something for your business that you intend to rely on as a product or a service, or maybe your branding, like your logo or images, if you can't own the copyright in those things, then you cannot prevent other people from copying them and using them or a variation of them. So that is really problematic. You need to make sure that you understand how to have human authorship in creating whatever it is you're creating using AI tools. And then you also have to have really clear contracts and AI use policies with employees and vendors. This is more important than ever before. It's always been important to have policies in place, but it's very important so that you don't end up in a situation where you don't actually have any legal rights in what it is you're generating. The other risk is that those outputs could be infringing on somebody else's intellectual property rights. And we've seen that in some recent litigation, like, for example, Disney just sued Midjourney because they are claiming copyright infringement because the Midjourney learning set was trained on some of Disney's images of some of its very famous characters, like Star Wars characters. And people were attempting to get photo outputs out of Midjourney that resembled those famous characters like Darth Vader, Yoda, etc. And they were almost identical to the original images. And so you can't trust that what is coming out of the generative AI platform is unique or new. And part of that is understanding what AI is. AI is like a very sophisticated autocomplete program. It is not creating new things. It is basically remixing everything that it's been trained on. And so the risk is that at least some portion of what you get in your output is actually going to be copyrighted materials that belong to somebody else. And so you have to be very worried about whether those outputs are actually infringing, opening you up to litigation. So it's important to keep that in mind. But with respect to what your interaction with AI and your employees' interaction with AI, you need to make sure that you are involving yourself before you try to claim ownership. So that means if you get an output, say you've written something like a blog post and you did it in generative AI and it spits out this output for you, then you need to spend a significant amount of time reviewing it, verifying the accuracy of any facts or sources that are cited in it. And you need to do that yourself. You can't trust AI to be accurate yet. And then you need to revise it. Revise it so it's in your own words. Make sure you put your own stamp on it. So that there is human authorship of the final draft, and then you have a much better chance of being able to claim copyright ownership in those items. And this is important because not only do you then have the ability to own those things exclusively and monetize them and help build your business, but say you want to get investors. Investors are going to want to know that you own all of your IP. If you have anything that is either should be copyrighted, or and this applies to trademarks as well, and you haven't properly protected those things, it could really hinder your ability to gain investors. And then obviously your competitors could hurt your edge in your business as well because they could use similar content, similar creations. In sum, make sure that you always have substantial human output and input in everything that you're working on, even if it's AI assisted. I would call it AI assisted, not AI generated. And then keep really good documentation of that human contribution. That's going to be important to be able to prove to the Copyright Office that there was human authorship. And then make sure you are also reviewing the terms in any software, a service platform that you're using, or AI tools. Look at their terms of service and their terms and conditions and see what they say about your ability to own the intellectual property rights in what you are generating on their websites or through their platforms. So before you build your brand and your business on AI generated content, make sure that your intellectual property house is in order. And one way you can do that is download my founder's guide on generative AI and IP ownership. And that will give you at least a roadmap to get started. And then give me a call. I would love to assist you in figuring out how to make sure that you can own your creations and protect yourself against potential claims of infringement or other legal risks.